I'm Catherine Tomlinson and I started an eco-conscious pottery company called Oxford Clay. So I don't just make pottery, I make resources for other potters wanting to be more eco-friendly in their pottery practice. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's about sharing everything I've learned along my eco-conscious pottery journey with you. And I'm so glad you're here with me. Let's go. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Oxford Clay Pottery Podcast. I'm Catherine Tomlinson, and in today's episode, I wanted to talk you through three books that have been really inspiring in my pottery practice. There's been times I've read these books and they've really sparked an idea off for me, and I just wanted to share that with you really because they've been really important to me in my pottery practice. And I'll sort of go through why and stuff. And sometimes, it doesn't have to be a pottery related book that can inspire you, but sometimes it's really nice to hear how other people have been inspired, where their ideas come from. And I really like hearing about that in other people. So far I do that on this podcast today. I would just talk you through these three books that I've bought one, and the other two I've got out of the library, they've been amazing. So let's start with the books. So the first book, I would say, this is the one I bought actually. This one is The Essential Guide to Mold Making and Slip Casting by Andrew Martin. And I had to buy this online. I just couldn't find this anywhere. I think it's published in America, honestly, I can't tell you how good this book is. If you're trying to learn how to slip cast, and you're not going to a class on slip casting or anything, you're basically trying to work it out yourself at home. That was me basically. Then this book is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So I think the fact that the reason it's so amazing is it goes through everything in very minute detail. So how to make a mold. So it's very technical orientated. So it's why slip needs to be deflocculated, how to do it, different ingredients that you use in slip, a description of each ingredient. At the end, it's got some slip recipes and stuff. But I think that for me, just trying to understand how a slip mold was actually made, this book really helped me. And also I got my slip casting recipes from it, as in the slip, actually making the slip. So I tweaked them, but the principles were really fantastic. So I learned that from Andrew Martin, basically. The fact that adding more ball clay to a slip casting recipe can stop cracking, all the different reasons that you add different ingredients, what soda ash is for, and I just ended up removing it from my from my slip. It's absolutely fantastic. And I think the thing is, he just does loads and loads of different examples, and also how, which is great because it's it helps your brain to keep on understanding how something's done if you just see it slightly different ways it's done every time. There's a really fantastic section he talks about on working with plaster, how you work with plaster. So he does different ways of working with plaster. Sometimes it's poured around an object, to make a mold. And there's this other technique he uses where he basically piles all the plaster up around an item. And I actually had no idea that you could work with plaster in that way, that you could kind of wait until it was nearly setting and then pile it all up around an object. It's amazing. So he's a real expert in working with plaster, and tells you exactly how to make molds, which is very perplexing if you're trying to work it out yourself from YouTube videos and stuff. So I would really recommend that book. If slip casting is something you want to do and you don't know how to do it, I would say that's a really good book. Okay, so my second book is Natural Glazes by Miranda Forrest, and I love this book so much. I love it so much. It's fantastic. So basically, Miranda Forrest is an artist who makes her own glazes from just natural rocks. found in Scotland and then loads of different plants. So I just found this book incredibly inspiring from the point of view of the fact that, you know, making your own glazes from things that you like see around you. So I don't use my own rocks in my glaze making, but I do use loads of different plants. And just hearing Miranda Forrest like talking about how, you know, you can collect this and you can collect that kind of plant, and I collect this at this time of year and this at another time of year, and this is better collected in winter, and that's how I burn them. It was so inspiring just to know that, like, you know, you can just be sort of like on the lookout. Now I can't just like walk about. I'm just like looking for plants the whole time and like, oh, that's one that's died away in winter. I wonder what kind of glaze that would make and stuff. So it really inspired me to make my own book on ash glazing, which I just tested like loads of different plants. I did 60 glaze tests of different plants. You know, just seeing the glazes they make. So also the really cool thing about Miranda Forrest's work is that there are loads of different colours in it. So, you know, just from natural things. So, you know, it could be the rocks, like maybe iron in the rocks that slightly colour things, or it could be so loads of different like plants are used, and you know, some of the colours made are, you know, greens and blues, and it's amazing. So Miranda Forrest also really helpfully has this warning on using like marine vegetation, and in the book it talks about how marine vegetation can actually cause explosions in your work, because the clay can absorb like minerals basically from the marine vegetation that can cause it to explode. So that was a really good warning for me. Also, there's a cautionary note in there about like burning certain plants and the fact that like the smoke they give off can be like toxic. So that was really cool, like to have that kind of safety warning, like another potter that's kind of, you know, gone through that and like, you know, is aware of those safety things. That was like, yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, if you're kind of into like, you know, natural glazing, you know, kind of like understanding, I don't know, just wanting to learn more about like plants and the way they look, and what, like, you know, collecting different rocks. Like Miranda Forrest actually crushes rocks in a kind of special machine and stuff, which I don't have, so that's why I don't, you know, do that aspect. But you know, if you're interested in learning more about like the different rocks and like, you know, the kind of glazes they make, then this book is amazing. Yeah, it's got loads of beautiful pictures of like kind of how Miranda Forrest, like, you know, collects plants and like collects rocks, and you know, the glazes they make. It's got loads and loads of examples of work, and like the colours that are made from seaweed. Oh, it's so good. Okay, so yeah, I love that book so much, and I found it so inspiring. Yeah, cool. Okay, so the next book is also amazing, very inspiring. So this book is by Rosette Gault, and it's the New Ceramics Paperclay Art and Practice. And this book, it just opened my mind basically to kind of the possibilities. So I had never used paperclay in my work at all. I didn't even know it was a thing. I'd never come across it before in adult education setting. And this book is really about really avant-garde kind of pottery practices, pottery artists that are using paper in their work. So the essential idea is that if you add cellulose fibers in the form of, you know, some kind of paper, or you can use like flax fibers or cotton fibers or bamboo fibers, that's what I use in my work, any kind of plant-based fiber, you can add it to clay and it massively increases the strength of clay. So you can end up doing like really amazing stuff that you would never normally be able to do with like other clay. So, you know, just clay on its own basically. And so Rosette Gault in this book just features loads and loads of artists that have really taken that to the extreme, you know, just like how thin can I make something? How intricate can I make something? Yeah, and because paperclay is so strong, and the paper then burns out in the firing, you're left with this like incredible structure that you wouldn't have been able to make otherwise. So if you're looking for, you know, maybe just a really interesting like just loads of really interesting examples of work that is very, I would say, just very sort of cutting edge work in the pottery industry, then this book is amazing. And the other really good thing about this book is that it talks about like the technical aspect of like how to how much paper basically to add for each different type of use. So Rosette Gault talks about, you know, how much ratio of paper to clay do you need for sculpting? How much do you need for wheel throwing? How much do you need for, you know, to stop cracking basically in slip cast wear? And that's what really inspired me when I read this. There was a little part about using paper basically to stop cracking in slip cast wear, and I was having it was a time where I was like having such a problem with cracking in my slip cast wear. So I'd already done I'd read Andrew Martin's book, and it was telling me all about, you know, you need to increase the ball clay content, you know, and that will help to stop cracking. And I'd done that, and then I got to a point where I was still experiencing cracking, so I tried to kind of you know, change like my pottery was drying quite extremes of temperature. It was like very cold and then not very cold, and then so I tried that, and that didn't stop the cracking either. And so I finally found this book by Rosette Gault on Paperclay, and in it there's a bit which talks about adding it to slip to stop cracking, and that's what I started doing. And then that's when my work became much less prone to cracking. It was so good, a real game changer, a game-changing moment. It was amazing. So oh yeah, so it's so good. It's so good. It's like, you know, Rosette Gault just goes through all the different ratios basically of clay to pulp to paper pulp. Yeah, and also all the different sources of cellulose fibre. Yeah, oh yeah, so very inspiring book, really inspiring book. So like I said, that was in the library, so I was so really lucky to have access to that. And yeah, just on a note, so I didn't sort of mention the technical aspect of Miranda Forrest's book. It's just popped into my mind to mention that Miranda Forrest also goes into the technical aspect of making glazes. So it's obviously not just like an examples of all Miranda Forrest's work, you know, and then like pictures of plants. It's actually got, you know, glaze recipes in there. It's got examples of other people's work. Yeah, also like how you apply glazes, the glaze making equipment. It's yeah, Miranda Forrest talks about, you know, how to apply the glaze, how to fire it, some problems that can occur. And so it's a very comprehensive book. It's comprehensive, but it's also like extremely inspiring. So yeah, so they're like three of my favorite pottery books, and I have to keep giving the other two back to the library. And then periodically I just kind of like get them out again, and just so I can like read them and like be inspired again, and then I give them back again to the library. That is so nice to talk to you about these books, and and if any of them have kind of like sparked an interest in you in terms of like, you know, interest in natural glazing or paper clay or slip casting, it's just really nice for me to be able to tell you about them. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and until the next episode, very happy potting. See you then. Bye. So if you enjoyed that and you're interested to learn more about eco-conscious pottery, head over to the Oxford Clay website, which is www.oxfordclay.co.uk. I can't wait to see you there.